morning. I'll say good morning because we are recording our morning time as we tend to do on Fridays. It is June 20th. I am Jamie Steyer Johnson alongside Brittany Carper. And oh my gosh, I'm excited we are up and recording first thing today because what an awesome slate we had last night. It was one of those rare times where there's only a couple games and they're staggered, and so you could watch the full game both times, which was certainly very warranted for both games as the Golden State Valkyries defeated the Indiana Fever and Phoenix Mercury took down the New York Liberty. So, oh my gosh, we were planning last night before the games on kind of what we were going to talk about today, and we had kind of settled out, okay, we'll talk about the night's games, and then we'll talk about, at the end, we're going to hit on the U.S. AmeriCup roster that was announced. But I don't know about you, Brittany, I was not anticipating just how great both of these games are going to be. I was excited about how good they could be, but to have both deliver in the way they did was pretty awesome. Fun night of hoops.
Definitely. I was so thrilled that they were both such competitive, high-level games. I think we saw the Mercury and the Liberty, two of the top three teams through, 12 game, 14 games. So we were definitely treated to that. I was very interested to see Mercury up against an opponent like the Liberty, see kind of where they stand, because I think it was a good test for them, especially on their first back-to-back. And so they were everything I thought and more. I think they lived up to what they could be and are currently. To me, I think the person that really stood out to me in that game was Akoa Makani. What a luxury to have, and I'm going to quote, rookie point guard running your team like she has. She was incredible. She didn't make a three, but just the way she hit mid-range, got to the rim, distributed the basketball. I thought that was kind of a breakout game for her. Finished with a career high 21 points, 6 assists, I think only 2 turnovers. So to me, I think she was kind of the difference maker for them. And then, of course, you can't mention the Mercury without Alyssa Thomas. I think, any point forward that wants to be one or is striving, just turn on clips of her, because what she does without being able to really extend to the 3-point line is incredible. She finds a way to get into the paint, knows where to make the ball go, plays so hard, sees the floor, rebounds the ball. I think what a little bit for them, I thought the big difference too was the offensive rebounding. They gave themselves multiple opportunities, which I thought was kind of the backbreaker down the stretch against the Liberty.
Yeah, as you say, Komakani, huge difference maker. When you talk about, well, she didn't knock down any of her threes. That's something she's been doing well this season, but she didn't miss it too. She went 8 for 8 from 2-point range. So like that'll certainly give you a little bit of a boost. Went 5 for 5 from the free throw line. So really, really big night for her. We've just seen these players that came into the Mercury settle in so well. And even as you start to get some of these players back. Kalia Copper didn't play in this game, played the night before. But, even with when she was in the lineup, they were getting a lot of production still from, Kit Loxa, from Alexa Held. And it's not always the same people every night, but they have so many options. And that's why when you go up against a team like the Liberty, on a back-to-back, like you have to have a lot of options that you can go to because look, you're going to get fatigued. You're going to have struggles. I thought that it was really stark the way that they rotated players in. The most minutes that anyone played was Sammy Whitcomb, and that was just a touch over 30. I thought that showed a lot of intention with the planning coming into this where, okay, we know that we're not going to play Ka in the second night of the back-to-back, which is very smart, just long-term. We're not going to try and run anyone into the ground, but we're going to continue to play everyone that we have available for significant minutes. Like the fewest minutes anyone played was a little over 7 with Kalani Brown, and it's just a tough matchup for her. So I was really impressed with the game management. That's been something that I think has taken some time for Phoenix to get figured out. And then just the distribution, to have 22 assists on 30 made field goals is certainly pretty impressive as well. And having it come from three different sources primarily, where you have 7 assists for Alyssa Thomas, Komakani had 6, Sammy Whitcomb had 5. Like, just the roles that they're finding for themselves are, I think, a very sustainable solution long term for the Mercury, which was kind of the question of, okay, how long can some of these players produce at this level? What can they find consistently? And so then when you go up against a team like New York, where they have Brianna Stewart, who is incredible, who is so difficult to stop, finally got some 3-point shots to drop, but no one else could really get anything to fall. I think that the offense was obviously impressive from Phoenix, but the defense perhaps even more so.
Definitely. And just to touch on your rotation, I had a good friend that's a diehard Mercury fan. He texted me, he said, I feel like Tibbetts is playing chess with his rotations. And that was spot on. Chess not checkers. He was definitely manipulating who he was putting out there and why. And you saw that down the stretch. But I thought the defense, they just disrupted so much of what the Liberty was trying to do. I think really trying to force Sabrina away from the 3-point line, extending their passing lanes, and just the rotation. They're so active with their hands. And then the luxury of having someone like Natasha Mack in the game and protecting the rim. She had 4 blocks. And I mean, she had some big minutes there for them. And that's what you're saying. Finding those fits and the roles. And we've said that before about them. They're a team that I think has really excelled in putting people in roles. And Whitcomb hit some huge threes down the stretch. And but my biggest thing I thought too, conversely for the Liberty, is Stewart had 32 points going into the fourth quarter. And I think she had one shot attempt with 2:25 to go in the fourth. And to me, that's just a tough pill to swallow for a team like that. I mean, you have to play through somebody as good as Brianna Stewart and in a game where she was exceptionally good. So I think that's something that I think the Liberty, if they go back and really evaluate that, finding more ways to get her involved and touches. And I don't think it was necessarily anything that the Mercury were doing. I just think the shots were being taken without an understanding of kind of who you should be playing through when she's having a game like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely is a tough adjustment when obviously you are without Jonquel Jones, you get her back, and then she goes down early in the game. And so it's at least somewhat encouraging that it seems that it's more a re-aggravation of the previous ankle, because when she's holding the knee, I'm sitting there like, oh no, because as we all know, women obviously very prone to knee issues. And then when you're coming back from injury is kind of like that prime opportunity where, okay, maybe you're favoring it, maybe you're doing things a little bit differently to compensate. And so that gets really scary. And so the fact that it's an ankle, I'm hoping that means that this is not a long-term thing. They'll probably hold her out a little bit longer this time to ensure she's like totally ready to go. But that definitely is something that impacts the way that you play the game and impacts the way that you do things in game. And so that's again, like that little bit of asterisk where they are so different with Jonquel and without Jonquel, and the fact that she's probably going to miss several games now, again, that is something the Liberty are going to have to work on, have to figure out. I mean, they got to be so happy that they have Niara Sabali not just back healthy playing, but the fact that she decided to forego Eurobasket to stay. I mean, that is huge for them, because otherwise they'd be in a really tough spot as far as the 5 goes. So I don't know. I am wondering what they find here without Jonquel, especially, again, we keep talking about defense. On the defensive end, like, she's a terrific weapon offensively, but her impact on defense is just so undeniable. And they're going to have some people pick up some slack with her out again. And if they do, it can be positive long term. Like, I talked about this with the Fever. Like, if you have the opportunity to step into a bigger role, that can be good long term. But you got to start figuring it out sooner rather than later. And the Liberty have simply not looked like themselves lately. Even in the game that Jonquel was back, just that spark, like that fire is not there as much. And I think part of it is also Phoebus being gone affects them a ton
Mm-hmm.
defensively too. But I don't know. I'm looking for that edge. Like I feel like they need to get a little bit of that chip on their shoulder of like having something to prove where they came out on a tear to start the season. And now we aren't seeing it quite as much as some of that adversity has hit.
Yeah, I think the consistency from a lot of the role players has to be better. You can't expect Stewart or Sabrina to go out and get 30 plus every night just for you to have a chance to be in a game or win a game. And over the last 3 games, that's been the case, even when Jones was back the one game. So I think for that, you just, with Jones missing probably an extended period of time, some of those players are going to have to be more consistent. And I think a lot of that could be Cloud too. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
she's played great over the last couple of weeks. So really finding a way for her to elevate her play to help them on both ends of the floor will be a big impact for them.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna table it there. We could talk about all of these games for like an hour. But let's move on for the second game of the evening, which was the Fever and Valkyries. And I've talked about the Valkyries a good bit with some of our other days, and especially with Cindy Brunson because she's talked about being in Ballhalla and how it's such an incredible environment. And I don't think it's ever been quite as evident as in this game. I mean, Leticia Mehier was talking about how the crowd was just such a terrific like sixth man, how they gave them so much energy, and that was obvious. I mean, this game started out a little rough for the Valkyries. You're down 9 points at the end of the first quarter, and there were times that kind of felt like even a success in itself. They gave up a pretty massive Fever run there. And then they just keep grinding. They keep chipping away. They keep chipping away. And in that fourth quarter, I mean, talk about just an absolute explosion. 33 to 18 in the fourth, refused to go away, made about every big shot they needed to, just did the little things. Like for me, one of the things I posted about was the missed free throws kill me. Like I'm the daughter of a coach who was for most of her career a guards coach, has done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the free throw work. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you gotta make the free throws. But when you miss free throws and multiple times down the stretch get your own rebound or get the rebound for your team offensively, extend the possession, and end up scoring, it's like, well, I guess that's what you gotta do
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
gonna miss the freebies. But man, I mean, it was just every little thing that needed to be done was done here. And it's so rare to see teams winning like that consistently, but that's literally the Golden State identity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the recipe for success for them. It's play hard, stay in the game, be gritty, do the extra, win in the margins, find the little things to be better at. And that's what they've done. And like I said before we started recording, their bench had 45 points and their starters had 43. And I think that is just a testament to the roster and the pieces that they have put together. I mean, Tiffany Hayes was incredible off the bench, but they've just found ways to find players that buy in to what they are doing. And we touched on this before, but a lot of those people were role players, reserve players, and now they're in a position for the Valkyries where they're getting big minutes and they're getting extended time to really prove themselves. And so I think for them and what their recipe for success has been all season, what you saw last night. And it was so fun to watch. That, like you touched on, the crowd there is incredible. You truly do feel like the home court advantage is there. And I don't know that that's always the case when you're watching games, but you feel like they're on top of you. They're just really behind their team, and for a first year expansion team, I mean that's incredible and a testament to the league's growth as well. And it's not like they have a superstar player that they're coming out to watch. It's a bunch of players that we've talked about that they're just getting behind and supporting women's basketball and the growth of it. So to me, that's one of the most cool things about what they're doing out there at Golden State is just, the support and the growth, and we're seeing that. But I think, the minutes were all really balanced too for the Valkyries. So just an incredible job all the way around last night by the entire team. And, I thought they just really took Indiana out of a lot of what they were trying to do. They were forcing them to take tough shots. And just like you said, capitalizing offensively too. The touch on the Fever, I think, is they're just not there defensively, whether it's from the guard play or the interior. They don't have somebody at the rim that's great at protecting it, and their guards aren't great defenders. And so I think down the last 5 minutes of that game, you saw that really exposed. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see the adjustments that the Fever make on that end as well, because I thought that was a big difference down the stretch.
Absolutely. I mean, we have known since this roster started announcing, or since this expansion started announcing their staff, like when Natalie Nakase came in, she said, we are going to be gritty. We are going to be defense first. And they've lived up to that billing. When you're forcing 17 turnovers and committing 7 of your own, like that says a lot just in itself there. And then not just the turnovers, but also Leticia Mihir's blocks, like 5 blocks for the team, 4 of them came from her. This is another thing I was talking about a little bit online. I really think I'd be curious to hear from her, like what her routine was, what she did between being waived and then coming back, because I know some of the knocks on her, like in preseason and previously, there were times in the preseason where, as great as she was offensively, especially in that one game, like there was a few times she would be in the wrong spot defensively, be caught kind of out of rotation, be caught a little bit lost. And to me, it looks like she spent time watching that film. She spent time studying, and maybe it could just be like more familiarity and being locked in now that she's back, but it seems very intentional where she's rotating to the right spot. It's not like they have like this super simple defensive scheme. Like there's a good bit of rotation. There's quite a bit of communication and help that's happening. Mm-hmm. And so she's coming over, she's finishing the play, she's getting rebounds. Like I was really, really impressed on the defensive end for me here. And then offensively, I mean, super clutch shots. Again, the free throws hurt me a little bit, but you get the rebounds, you get in there. I mean, you're mixing it up. Also, to have 4 blocks and only 2 fouls is really, really something, especially when you're on a team that rotates the way they do. Those are some really difficult players to defend, but she can guard anyone on the court. She can guard 1 through 5. And so I thought her and then Chloe Bibby coming in and being very ready for the moment. That was really fun to watch. I think we've been treated to a lot of these more experienced rookies this year, and Chloe Bibby, in her debut in the WNBA, to go out there, you play nearly 24 minutes, you have 12 points. Like, I just thought she was terrific. Hit some huge outside shots. Again, had some clutch rebounds. Didn't have a turnover. Like, those are things that it's so difficult to do when you're getting used to the game. Like, the WNBA is just a different beast, even when you've been in training camp. And so those two coming in off the bench were a massive spark. And then you have the people who they've had around who are coming off the bench. You have Tiffany Hayes being back is massive. Just such a boost, such a tough player, just like knows exactly what she's trying to do. And then Kate Martin came in, hit some really, really big shots, played some solid defense, had 5 rebounds in 20 minutes. Like, as a guard, that definitely kind of shows what the Valkyries are about, where you don't have anyone with more than 5 rebounds, but everyone that plays has a rebound. So just so tough. Like there's not a whole lot. I can use other synonyms for the word tough, but that's what it comes down to, is like they are outworking, they are outgrinding their opponents, and they're just willing themselves to wins.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And when you watch them, that's, I think, like you said, there's only so many synonyms you can come up with, but it's really awesome to see that so many of them are buying into that and their identity. Like you turn a game on of the Valkyries, you know what to expect. And I think that's been really refreshing to see, because I don't know that's always the case at the professional level, is to try to win in the margins like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's when you have stars and things like that, the game looks a little different. But for them, it's like everyone contributes, and oh yeah, they're missing 4 players from their roster to Eurobasket, which is also crazy to think about when you
Mm-hmm.
watch them play. And so I just, to them, that was just a really great game. I want to also touch on the Fever. I thought down the stretch, maybe a little bit more to Howard and Boston. I thought they both had pretty solid games, and it seems like they just kind of forget they exist. And I don't know what the rationale is there. And I understand you have Tiffany Mitchell and you have Caitlin Clark, and but at the end of the day, when you're struggling at the perimeter like they are, I would like to see them find more ways to get the ball inside and try to take advantage of that. Now, I know, the Valkyries were doing a great job battling inside, but again, maybe then you're able to pass out of a double or find some open looks. But sometimes I just don't feel like the ball gets into the paint enough. And that was like, if you watch the Phoenix Mercury last night and then you watch the Fever, the difference in the way the ball moves and the paint touches. I don't know the statistic. I don't know that anyone tracks it, but the Mercury have to be close to the top of the league in the amount of paint touches, whether it's off the bounce or from the pass, and the way the ball moves. And so for me, the Fever, when they're in situations where Clark and Mitchell maybe aren't generating the points that they need, I would like to see them give more touches to Boston or Howard inside and see if that can help alleviate some of the pressure on the perimeter.
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, obviously, both of us spend a little bit of time around coaching staffs, and so that was the thing that jumped out to me, is that you're looking at 2 people with stat lines of going for Aaliyah Boston 7 of 11 from the floor, for Natasha Howard 6 of 11 from the floor, and immediately my thought is, what does that tell me? That they needed more shots. Like, when you have people shooting that high of percentages, you should be getting like well into the double digits, especially when you have the passing ability, the ball movement ability that the Fever have. And they're not black holes, okay? Like, Aaliyah Boston will kick the ball back out. Natasha Howard will kick the ball back out. And especially, I think with the Valkyries is they don't have a true center, period. Like,
No.
they have Monique Billings, who generally has been a 4 in her
Mhm.
career, and you have, I mean, Chloe Bibby, who like plays on the perimeter quite a bit and has like some size to defend, but they do not have a true center, like, flat out. And so that's a situation where they're doing kind of the classic defensive scheme, where that means that they're really putting a lot of pressure on the guards and trying to make it really difficult to even enter the ball, because they know they're at a disadvantage when it gets in there. However, with the capability of the Fever, with the weapons that they have, with the passing ability that they have, I feel like if you put an emphasis on it, they should be able to get the ball inside more. Like, you just can't tell me that you couldn't have gotten a couple of those threes that they missed. When you have 8 of 29 from 3, you couldn't have had half a dozen more shots that you're attempting to get inside. Like, and again, a lot of turnovers, and that's because the Valkyries are making it difficult. But when the shots aren't falling at a certain point, you got to be able to get the ball to the people that are working for you. And it just did not see, it wasn't like they were turning it over, trying to get the ball inside possession after possession after possession. It was like they were settling a little bit more. And so I just felt like it was more of an emphasis issue. And again, part of that, when your head coach is out for personal reasons, that obviously makes a really big impact. And this is another one of those games where you see the absence of DeWanna Bonner, where she, on the defensive end especially, makes a really big difference. But yeah, just another one of those games where for the Fever, still searching for that consistency, still searching for that kind of identity on both ends of the court to be able to defend as well as they play offense and to keep that level of efficiency that they're capable of. But to me, it's much more about Golden State and just what they're finding, the routine they're finding. I said my prediction at this point is that I do think they will keep Leticia Mihir when they get their players back from Eurobasket, because she is not on a hardship contract. She's on a rest of season contract. And since they waived Kiara Linskins for Eurobasket, I believe that opens up the roster spot for her. And so it blew my mind. Like, I understand there's justification for it, but I was shocked when they released her the first time. When she comes back and when she's producing and when she's playing regular minutes, like, I just don't think you let that go a second time. I'm interested to see what all they can, make shake, because I know if they could, they would keep Chloe Bibby too, but I don't think that's going to be doable. So I do think that LA will be there the rest of the season, though.
Yeah, and she deserves that spot. I think she gives them something they really don't have either, and like you said, 4 blocks out of the 5 on the team, and she kind of is that longer rim protector type of player that can help them, and just so long too offensively, and kind of can get to the rim and do some things that I think really will impact them a great deal going forward. So I'm certainly with you, and seeing her stay for the rest of the season, I think, is pretty likely for them.
All right, so I want to make sure that we have a chance to touch on our final topic, at least briefly, because we don't have any games between now and when we're going to talk again, because I believe they start the 28th.
That's right,
but
yeah.
yes, so the Women's AmeriCup is going to be in Santiago, Chile from June 28th to July 6th. I will certainly be making sure I'm marking my calendar, figuring out how that's streaming, because I was sitting there like, man, I wish I could be watching these trials right now. But I am so excited for multiple reasons, obviously. Number one, I am beyond thrilled for Audie Crooks. She just works so hard. If you follow her, if you see her play, I truly believe it is impossible not to love her, and that's as someone who obviously knows her personally pretty well, but also I see the way that she relates to fans and just the way that she conducts herself. Like, the way she conducts herself publicly is who she is. Like, that's not always a given with people, but she is a genuine person. She works so hard. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited that both she and Reagan Beers made the roster. I think that that's going to be really fun to see an international play, just that dominant center, especially when you're going up against other countries. It's like, okay, do you have someone that can compete here? There's very few people in the country in women's college basketball that can guard Reagan Beers or Audie Crooks. I'm interested to see how that goes in international play. And then, oh yeah, you're going alongside the best guards in all of college basketball. Let me list off the roster here real quick, and we'll go from there. So the AmeriCup team is Reagan Beers, Michaela Blakes, Madison Booker, Audie Crooks, Joyce Edwards, Hannah Hidalgo, Flage Johnson, Gianna Neepkins, Olivia Miles, Kennedy Smith, Hannah Stolke, and Grace Van Sluten. So I don't know. This is just so fun. I love international play, especially for college players, because that's, been kind of my primary deal for so many years. I love college basketball, and so you get to see a very different group. You get to see them develop alongside each other a little bit more, and I feel like this is always a huge boost for these players when they come back, because it just pushes you to a different level. It gets you an experience that is impossible to manufacture anywhere else. And so I know especially I like it for the interior players, because it gives you just a different look. You're so reliant on your guards. And so it gives you a little bit of practice with other kind of looks. I think that it's going to be really fun to have Kara Lawson in charge running things, because these are players that we know are very, very capable offensively. This is also a who's who defensively, and we know that's going to be a major focus for them. And so I just think it's going to be a thrilling group to watch. It's a bunch of really great players and individuals. I think that they're going to have a lot of fun together. I think that the content that's going to come out of it is going to be really cool. So just curious kind of what your thoughts are, what you're excited to see from this AmeriCup team.
I think the biggest thing is, first off, just a testament to the talent pool that is currently in college basketball on the women's side is just, to me, you just have seen it evolve year after year, and you're seeing so many different players with so many different capabilities. And I think this roster makeup is really just, kind of encompasses everything that is college basketball on the women's side right now. You have outstanding guards, you have great, wing players, good forwards, two incredible bigs that I think are going to be so good as a 1-2 punch. And to me, I'm just excited to see the best of the best come together and play. And like you said, really offensively, obviously they are all extremely talented. I think most of the reasons you get into a pool like that is for what you can do offensively. But we also know Kara Lawson is an incredible defensive coach. And so that's going to be really fun to see kind of what that looks like for this team coming together. But then, you have a really great offensive mind in Jenny Browncheck. So it's going to be really neat to kind of see that all come together. But to me, it's just, when you name off all of those players, women's college basketball is, I say this every year, it's better than it ever has been. And so people that, if you're only watching the W or you're only watching women's, like, just sit down, find a way to watch this group of players, and it will get you so excited for the upcoming college basketball season, because the talent level and how many different teams have the capability to really be good is just where the game is at and where it's going. And I think you've seen the rise in play, not at the college level only, but internationally, and the W. And so to me, it's just, this roster is everything that's good and right and well with women's college basketball. And you touched on Audie too, like, just the way she plays the game is with such joy. I think, like, you watch her for 40 minutes, and it's probably not easy being her out there, but that to me is like, I think this group, you're going to see that too. It's going to be fun. I think they all really just enjoy playing the game, and I'm excited to see the roster really take shape together and see what it looks like, with kind of two different facets on the coaching staff that are probably going to have big says in what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think of like some of the segments we saw from this past year from like Hannah Hidalgo. Like, I feel like it's another person that just plays with that joint. Like, I said, like, I don't want to see her on an opposing team. Like, what she does is not something I want to be facing. And I mean, also the point that my husband made when I was talking to him, he's like, just think what they're going to do when no one's going to be like the primary person being relied upon. Like, that's something that I hadn't even gotten to that point of thinking about the approach for AmeriCup and for like this international play, where, yeah, like, Audie plays a lot of, all of these players play a lot of minutes, but we know that in short spurts, like, they're capable of another level because they're very smart. They know they have to some level, conserve a little bit of energy. And when there's no one there that like is the only person that does something, when all of them have a very solid backup, like, that's going to be really cool to be able to see them really push themselves. And again, seeing these different kind of lineups, seeing players play alongside each other, like, that's just always such a joy of international play. And so, I'm super, super excited. I know when everything was announced, like, we were just so excited for, obviously, Audie around here, but also, like, when you're in the state of Iowa and you have Hannah Stolke there, she's going to bring another really fun dimension, and you have just a wide range of players. I think that that's going to be really cool to see all these players getting to go together, and then we come back for the college season, and it's like, oh yeah, we saw them play together, and now maybe they play against each other or whatever. It's it's really exciting. I'm super, super looking forward to it. I love the W, but college is my first love. And so this will be really fun to have to kind of see next week. And so I'm excited for all the content they've got coming out of camp and practices and stuff this coming week, because there's no break. You go out to training camp, and if you make the team, like, that's it. You're there, baby. So they're there, they're practicing, they're doing all that, and then they'll be heading off to Chile. So I know, like, Audie's mom was flying out to see her and stuff. They were like getting all that done. And so it's crazy. It's that quick turnaround. But
Yep.
especially for these players who are going into their senior year, it's almost like, hey, guess what? This is your dress rehearsal, because this is going to be the W next year. And so I think that that'll be really good for like your Flage, for Olivia Miles, to kind of get that opportunity. For Reagan Beers, who's going to be a senior. Like, this is almost exactly what you're going to face when you get drafted into the W. And that's something that most people don't really have a chance to simulate. So I think that that's like an
Yep.
additional little wrinkle that's kind of nice.
Absolutely. So it'll be fun to watch and follow. I think, like you said, for a lot of them, just the international experience is something you don't get the opportunity to always get. So when you have that, you want to take full advantage of it.
Oh, all right, Brittany. Well, as always, could sit here talking for ever and ever. This is somehow one of our longer episodes, and we had 2 games and a roster to discuss. But hey, it's just kind of that time of year. Everything's exciting. You roll out of bed, if you're like me, a couple minutes before we record, and you're like ready to hit the ground running. But there's so much fun stuff to talk about. I know you've been awake a little bit longer, as we discussed, and for anyone
Yes.
watching on YouTube, you can see that she's not in the house. She's over at Illinois State, giving us a little bit of change of scenery. So certainly appreciate you, as always, jumping on, being ready to go first thing, and always having really great contributions, great takes. You guys can find Brittany online at Brittany Carper. I'm Jay Steyer, JSTEYZ, on basically any platform you'd be looking. Make sure that you're following Her Hoop Stats. Again, pretty much anywhere: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, X, all that fun stuff. That's just at Her Hoop Stats. This is the last episode for the week. We'll be back on Monday, but make sure that you are subscribed to our newsletters for all of the other content we are putting out, written and otherwise. And we will be back on Monday. Thanks, guys.